Out of all the things that you could have done, you had to kidnap the baby? The baby? It's Spoopy season, folks, and well, Terrifier 3 is on the horizon because it releases this weekend, or if you're seeing this, you might have already seen it. But as someone who's only seen the first Terrifier one time back when it came out, I was intrigued to see the first two, and well, yeah, I rewatched the first one. Now, to be honest, I don't remember too much when it comes to this movie. I definitely do remember the first few bits of it, but at the second half of it, I completely forgot what had happened. Yeah, that was something. Now, as someone who does appreciate sometimes some gory horror films, I was very intrigued by this concept, of course, being very simple and plain, of a killer clown who kills people in grotesque ways. So I was intrigued, and I got that, but not much else. So let's break down each and every category and rate it. Acting. You definitely aren't getting any Oscar-worthy performances here. You're not getting any awards for really probably any of the performances here. It's rough, but it is as expected, with not only its budget of, if I remember right, it's around like $50,000 or so, but also the genre that it's set in. It's not supposed to be this groundbreaking film when it comes to the acting. But who says you can't have both? Now, again, this will be a constant with the review where I say, why can't you have both when it comes to a lot of different things within this film? Overall, the acting is very cheesy. A lot of the times it's just god awful. But you do have David Howard Thornton playing Art the Clown, and you definitely know that he sinks himself within the role because he gives a pretty good performance. Even though Art the Clown has 0 lines of dialogue and it's pretty much all just body expressions, he does fairly well. Now, knowing that it's not supposed to be Oscar-worthy, knowing about the budget, knowing about all the other, characteristics that this film goes through in terms of the outside sources and the outside interactions, I'm going to give it half a star when it comes to acting. I struggled a bit when trying to figure out what my ratings were going to be for this film, but I do want to stress the fact that, for one, yes, this film should be able to do a lot more than it provides, but it also does provide some entertainment if you're into the gory horror type of horror film. Now we're getting into the visual, cinematography, lighting, everything else except for the body prosthetics, the gore, all that it's a mixed bag, right? Because on one hand, the color grading is just god awful. It's this weird grunge blue-red type of, filmmaking that you probably just put a, LUT on and you just let it roll, essentially. And then the lighting can be very, very dramatic at times. And I get it, it's supposed to be this horror film, but at times it just feels just so intense. Things are overexposed. It just doesn't look very appealing. But when you go to the actual horror part of it, the grotesque, gross things, then it actually kind of works together as a whole cohesive piece. And I'll give it credit for that. Knowing, again, it's a $50,000 budget around there, they did a very good job with the money. So I have to dock points, but I also have to gain points. So when it comes to visuals, I'll give it a half a star. It's not horrible. It's not great. I don't even think good, but I can only go, 1, half, or 0. So you get a little bump just because I have a 5-star rating system. Now, when it comes to the audio, it's rough. You can definitely tell when it comes to the whole entire film, whether it's like I said, the super dramatic lighting, the crappy, overlays when it comes to the, color grading of the film. This is easily, it's one of its weakest points. It's all right. The best thing about the film's sound is probably Art the Clown's, horn. That's it. Otherwise, when we look at other things about it, the score is just, I don't know. It definitely gives me the irks, but not in the way where I'm kind of like creeped out by it. By the way, I'm kind of like, it's not that good. And I get it. It's a small budget. Can't do too much on it. You're working with a bunch of people who are willing to take a lot less to make something special and unique. And you definitely feel it there. Unfortunately, with nothing kind of standing out in the audio department, even though I can hear people for the most part, there are some times where I had some muddiness when it comes to the actual audio from the actors themselves. I have to give it no stars. Unfortunately, it's the first one that kind of drops the ball on that. Now, when it comes to the story, this one, again, is hard because, for one, I have to base it on a lot of different factors. Number one, it's not supposed to be this intense story. But again, why can't it be this great story? When watching this movie and thinking about what's going on, I struggled to connect with anyone. I struggled to care about what was going on. There seemed to just be go to this building and things started to happen. And that's about it. And I know a lot of horror films kind of just do this as their, trope as it is. But at least you get some hints of plot and story within the actual film that drives a character, that drives the villains, that drives the monster, whatever it may be. Here, you kind of just don't get it. I always like to talk about Saw when it comes to a movie like this, is because if you take all aspects of the, horror gore that they actually put out and you just focus on the story, it's not a great story, but you actually have some cohesion when it comes to the actual narrative that the film's trying to tell. This doesn't really have it. And like I've said, a lot of people are just going to watch it because they enjoy the goriness and things like that. And if that's your thing, good for you. I'm not going to sit here and bash the fact that you enjoy it more than I did. That's the whole point of having an opinion. If you enjoy it, perfect. That's what films are supposed to be. Some people enjoy them, some people don't. And with the story aspects, there's nothing intriguing here. Nothing at all. 0 stars out of 1 within this category because it just didn't do it for me. Now, when it comes to the enjoyment category, this one's hard because I've watched it before and I kind of enjoyed it, but this is my second time really watching it. Since the last time I watched it, I believe it was 2016 when it came out. I've grown a lot with the films that I like and the films I enjoy, and I remember kind of enjoying it then. I don't remember what I have it on Letterboxd, but I remember I slightly enjoyed it and maybe had it at 3 stars. And then I watched it again, and it took me 2 days to watch it. Not because I was disgusted of the horror that came about it. A lot of it came down to me not, like I said with the story, not feeling redeemed or enjoying what was going on the screen itself. So it took me 2 days. About halfway through the film, I stopped it because I thought I was a lot further on into the story because the pacing was really weird. And then I kind of just left it there and didn't think I was going to watch it. But then I had some time to kill. And I said, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just finish it. And yeah, it took me 2 days to watch it. To me, that's the walking out of a theater type of, thing. But luckily I have it streaming so I can kind of just pick it back up whenever I wanted to. With the enjoyment category, for the simple fact that I had to watch it in 2 days, not because of its content in terms of the goriness, but in terms of its content within the story. Because then again, you can have a gory horror film and still have a good story. There's no excuse. We have to hold people to a higher standard. But I would like to also state this, as I give this a 0 out of 1 stars within the enjoyment category. It is an amazing achievement that this $50,000 budgeted film has 2 sequels. Terrifier 2 and the new up-and-coming film, which should be released the day I post this, Terrifier 3. So that's a huge congratulations to them for creating a new, horror icon. Congratulations, you did it. You succeeded in that. But I hope Terrifier 2 gives me more in terms of story. And I'll watch Terrifier 3 when I can. But yeah, Terrifier 1 overall, we're giving it a star. In terms of the 5 things that I look for within a perfect movie, it misses on every single front, pretty much almost, besides having one great body performance, by Art the Clown's actor, and having some pretty cool gory moments. But that's all this film is.